My 8-year-old spent 5 hours baking cupcakes for the family dinner. My mother dumped them in the trash. Try again when you're older. My sister laughed in her face. I didn't laugh. I got up and said this. Everyone was speechless. It was supposed to be a normal family dinner. Roast meat. Loud conversation. A bottle of wine that was probably already half gone before we arrived. Where are you listening from? And what time is it for you? Drop a comment. Let's map our whole community in one thread. I did not cry. I opened my laptop. The screen washed the room in that pale hospital blue that makes everything look honest. Banking app. Automatic transfers. $1,600 each month. Quietly leaving. Month after month. For about 10 years. About $200,000 disguised as love. I tapped cancel. Confirm. A soft ping. Like a nail setting into wood. I removed my card from the family grocery app. Deleted the shared list with the little hearts next to their favorite brands. Blocked the recurring request for the weekend rides. No one thanked me for. Notifications went dark. And the house felt brighter. The apron Zoe wore earlier hung on its hook by the door. A small flag that said, "We still made things with our hands." The frosting stain on the tie looked like a comet. I rested my fingers on the table edge and counted to 5. Not to calm down. To keep from explaining. He stood in the doorway. Hair unsettled. Concern tamped down. He did not speak. Good. I needed the silence. I needed the sound of pings turning into nothing. I drafted a text to my parents. One line. You do not have access to me anymore. I watched the sentence blink like a heartbeat. Then I deleted it. They do not need my thesis. They can have my absence. Here is the part people do not see. When you grow up graded for proper, permission becomes air. You inhale it without thinking. You hold your breath when someone frowns. You learn the choreography. Apologize first. Deliver perfection later. Accept the smaller chair at the table. Survival is not dramatic. It is tidy. It looks like a straight-A student and a neat linen closet. It looks like a daughter who learns to anticipate the test and hand in the extra credit before anyone asks. They call you mature. Inside. You are just oxygen-starved. That is why I moved quickly. The chain only looks invisible until you tug it and feel the burn. Cancel. Confirm. Cancel. Confirm. I scrolled through the history, like reading a ledger of my own erasure. Every transfer, a small apology for existing. Every line item, a sentence that ended with, "Do better next time." I opened the contact list and slid my thumb across names. Silence for the ones who only call to translate my parents. Silence for the ones who post morality, plays and tag me without tagging me. I turned off read receipts. I turned off the echo that made my phone feel like a hallway where my name was always being called. I stood. Poured water into a glass. And it tasted like the first breath after leaving a theater. Cold night air, undoing the perfume. The living room lamp hummed. The hum matched the pulse under my skin and made it steadier. I checked the browser again. The cancellations were lined up like little closed doors. It is strange what your body remembers. Mine remembered sitting at a table as a child. Rewriting a thank you note because the loops were messy. Mine remembered being told that doing it again was love. I believed that for far too long. Doing it again was control with manners. He moved closer. Careful, like approaching a wild thing that might bolt. You sure? He asked, without asking. I nodded. This is not revenge. This is maintenance. I am shutting off the leaks. I opened a blank text to them again. I typed. I am fine. I erased it. I typed. You will speak to me through counsel. I erased that too. No more softening. No more air that is not mine. The apron on the hook fluttered when the heat kicked on. I took it down and smoothed the tie with my thumb. Pressed the frosting comet into the fabric like a seal. The kitchen smelled faintly, like sugar and lemon cleaner. I wanted that to be the last time those two scents touched. I closed the laptop. The room stayed bright anyway. I used to think leaving meant running away. Turns out, it feels more like breathing again after holding it for years. When I added up everything I'd covered. The numbers didn't even make me angry. Just clear. The winter property tax that slipped through the cracks. The bridge month rent Courtney swore she'd pay back twice. The so-called emergency roof fund that vanished like smoke. Every dollar had come with a thank you that sounded like an IOU for more obedience. I remembered Zoe's drawings spread across the counter. each one corrected by my mother's voice. Through me, gentle. Instructional. Poison wrapped in care. Stay in the lines. Honey. Meanwhile, Bailey Scribble's whole fields of chaos were framed. Captioned. Look at her imagination. In my job, I teach women to set boundaries. To ask, what do you owe yourself? Funny how easy it is to preach when your own house is on fire. I tell them that help without respect is control. That love measured in chores isn't love at all. Every word I'd said to them circled back and landed squarely on me. I kept hearing my mother's favorite phrase, if it's worth doing. It's worth doing properly. She said it like a hymn. But it always meant, you're not enough yet. Those words didn't just shape me. They pruned me. I grew around them like a tree, leaning toward the only sunlight allowed. That's the real trap of cruelty that looks normal. It wears pearls and a soft voice. It calls humiliation high standards. It hands you correction as a compliment. For years, I called it discipline. It was conditioning sweetened. Dressed up. Made palatable for dinner tables and holiday photos. When Zoe's cupcakes hit the trash, something ancient snapped inside me. It wasn't just about dessert. It was a rerun of every erased effort that had ever been renamed lesson. I opened my old budgeting sheet. Column after column of temporary help, stretched down like a spine that had bent too long. I whispered the math out loud. 10 years. $1,600 a month. About $200,000. Gone in the name of keeping the peace. I almost laughed. Peace isn't cheap. But apparently, compliance is priceless. Then there was Courtney. The golden echo. 2 years younger. 2 shades softer. Her mistakes were cute. Mine were character flaws. She could show up late. I had to arrive early just to stay even. When she forgot Mom's birthday, it was stress. When I did, it was proof I didn't care enough. I saw it all with frightening precision now. The double standards. The tiny social cues. The hierarchy hidden inside family. Zoe wandered into the room, still wearing her pajamas. Eyes curious. Are we still going over to Grandma's next weekend? She asked. I looked at her. Really looked. Her hands had bits of food dye under the nails. A quiet badge of effort. I shook my head. No. Honey, we're taking a break. She nodded like she already knew. Kids can smell peace coming. After she left, I sat back in the chair and whispered to no one. This isn't duty. This is debt with better lighting. And once you name it, it stops owning you. By morning, the air had that brittle quiet my childhood used to have before someone corrected me. My phone glowed with new messages. Mom's voicemail. First her voice practiced. Soft. Dangerous. We just want things handled properly. Sweetheart. That word again. Properly. As if control wore perfume now. Then Dad's voice. Low and steady. You know how your mother is. Don't make this bigger than it is. Translation: endure it. Pretend it didn't happen. Like always. Then Courtney. You're overreacting. A text bubble with a heart at the end. A tiny bow on a slap. I could almost predict the next line before it came Mom's public post. Some people forget who raised them. The comments filled in quickly. Hearts. Prayers. Applause emojis. I screenshotted everything. Not to expose them, just to prove to myself it happened. Gaslighting loses power when you have receipts. The house smelled faintly like lemon cleaner. Funny how that smell never meant clean, it meant control. If it shines, they can't say it's wrong. That was her rule. I used to inhale it and feel safe. Now it just made my throat itch. I made tea. Let it steep too long. Took one sip. Set it down. Watched it cool into stillness. It mirrored the silence that used to fill their kitchen after a scolding. The silence that meant, don't make it worse. I stared at the cup and thought about how many times I'd confused silence with safety. How many times I'd told myself, at least they're not yelling. How many times I'd accepted crumbs of peace because the full meal came with conditions. That's what people don't get about families like mine. The cruelty doesn't scream. It smiles. It compliments your posture while pulling the chair out from under you. It thanks you for your help while quietly pocketing your effort. The phone buzzed again. Courtney, just call Mom. You're making it weird. I typed. Nothing's weird. It's just over. I didn't send it. I watched the typing dots on her side appear, then vanish. 3 little lights, blinking like Morse code for guilt. I left it unread. In the background, Zoe hummed off-key in the next room, her small voice cutting through the stale air. I focused on that sound, the sound of something uncoached, unpolished, completely hers. I scrolled back through their posts one more time. Every word polished to look reasonable. The family knew the choreography. Keep your voice even. Sound disappointed. Not cruel. Always use the word love like a shield. I turned off the phone and set it face down. The kitchen clock ticked. The tea went cold. I realized then that I didn't need their apology. I just needed their noise to stop echoing in me. And for the first time, it did. Erica answered on the second ring, her voice steady in a way that made me feel the ground again. I told her everything, every voicemail, every transfer, every time help had turned into obligation. She didn't gasp or pity me. She just said, "All right, let's put it in writing." Within an hour, she sent a draft. 30 days to initiate a repayment plan. Formal revocation of all old powers of attorney. No direct contact. Only through counsel. The words looked sharp and clean on the screen, like teeth made of paper. I spent the afternoon compiling screenshots, bank statements, call logs, the digital archaeology of a lifetime of small betrayals. Every click, every saved file, felt like bricks being laid in a wall that finally protected instead of trapped. Erica said, "Documentation is your armor now." I believed her, because when love keeps moving the goalpost, procedure is the only place you can stand still. That sentence followed me as I worked. Procedure as a kind of peace. Evidence as air. I named each file like a chapter title. Voicemail 1. Transfer history. Dinner. I didn't bother to label feelings. Feelings had never earned me safety. Logan watched from the doorway again, leaning on the frame. "You're really doing this?" he said. I nodded. He didn't argue. He's learned that silence is sometimes respect. When I sent the packet to Erica, she replied within minutes. Received. I'll deliver it today. The email felt like a full stop at the end of a sentence that had gone on too long. I closed the laptop and stared at the blank reflection in the black screen. No family photos behind me. No reminders of the script I was deleting. The quiet hummed differently now, less like danger, more like space. Funny thing about paperwork, it doesn't heal, but it steadies. It draws lines where chaos used to live. I'd spent 33 years following invisible rules, and now I was the one writing them. Outside, the afternoon light hit the table, turning the wood gold. Zoe's crayons were scattered there. Small bursts of color. Imperfect. Alive. I gathered them into a pile, straightened them by shade, then let them fall again. Disorder was starting to feel like freedom. I brewed another cup of tea. Let it steep too long again. This time, I drank it cold. The next morning, my inbox held a number that didn't belong. $24,000 gone. Labeled neatly with my parents' names. I didn't gasp or drop the mug. I just stared at it. A single sentence in digits. Of course you did. I called Erica. She didn't sound surprised either. Expired power of attorney, she said. Unauthorized transfer. Will file immediately. She talked me through the steps report. Demand letter. Record preservation. I followed each one like choreography. Calm. Mechanical. Then the phone buzzed again. My aunt's name. I almost didn't answer. But something in me knew. Her voice was tight. "Clara, I think you should hear this." A pause. Then the voicemail. Dad's tone was casual. Confident. The same one he used to explain math homework I'd already solved. "We just used the old papers," he told someone in the background. "It's our family. We decide." That was it. Just enough to turn suspicion into proof. I saved the file 3 times. Sent it to Erica. She called within minutes. "That's it," she said. "They can't spin that one. We'll add it to the filing." I sat at the kitchen table, phone still in my hand, staring at the plant by the window. Its leaves were pale from neglect, curling in on themselves. I reached over, snipped the dead tips. The gesture felt almost ceremonial. You don't wait for rot to apologize before you prune it. The word properly echoed in my head again. Mom's favorite disguise. We're just trying to do things properly. Properly. Assing quietly. Properly. As in never confronting the mess. Just polishing it. Properly. As in theft with table manners. That was the trap. The theater of their virtue. Every rule. Every correction. Every standard was a prop. Their cruelty came with choreography and perfect diction. The show had gone on for decades, because I never stopped clapping. Now the curtain had dropped. The difference was legal. Not emotional. Documented. Not debatable. Erica's final email arrived before noon. Demand letter sent. They'll respond soon. You did everything right. I reread that line. You did everything right, and felt something uncoil in my chest. I had heard variations of those words my entire life, but always with a correction waiting behind them. This time, there was nothing to fix. I set my phone face down. The house was still, heavy with clean air. For the first time, properly belonged to me. 2 days later, the knock came. Not hard. Not disparity. Just measured. Like she still believed she was in charge of the rhythm. When I opened the door, Mom Karen stood there. Flawless, as always. Hair set. Coat tailored. Even her guilt had good posture. Behind her, the winter air hung sharp and blue. Her eyes flicked past me into the house. You look tired, she said. How the way some people say hello. Then, softer. We're losing everything. Clara, your father's heart can't take this. Do something for your sister. For a second, I saw the little girl I used to be. Desperate to please that tone. But the feeling passed. Quick as static. I didn't invite her in. I didn't reach out. I just stepped forward until she had to step back. I already did something, I said. I handed her a small envelope revocation notice. Police report, receipt, repayment schedule. Her own signature already printed at the bottom. Erica had handled that part. She blinked once. Twice. Color drained. Then came back as irritation. You called the police on your parents. I filed a report, I said. Because that's what people do when someone moves their money without asking. Her mouth twitched. You don't understand. We were just... No, I said quietly. I do understand. Better than you think. The wind pushed against us, carrying that faint metallic chill of coming snow. I raised my glass of water. The one I'd been holding when she knocked. Here's to the last time we do this. For a moment, she didn't move. Then she turned. Heels crisp on the porch wood. Walking back to the car where Dad sat pretending to scroll through his phone. The door slammed. The sound wasn't loud, but it landed. Inside. The silence had weight. But it was mine. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the counter. Zoe stood on a stool, flipping waffles. One tore when she tried to turn it. She frowned. I'll redo it. The words hit me like déjà vu, the start of the script. But this time, I cut the scene short. No, I said, smiling. It's good enough. She looked at me, surprised, then grinned. Good enough. Tastes perfect to me. Logan laughed from the table, hair still messy from sleep. That's my kind of breakfast. We ate together, syrup running wild. Laughter, louder than the forks. After they left for the day, he said at me desk. The old spreadsheet family support was still open. Rows of history. I selected all. Delete. Confirm. The screen blinked clean. Then I opened a new document. Grant ideas, women's shelter. The cursor waited. Patient. Letting go of blood ties doesn't mean hating where you came from. It means refusing to shrink back into someone else's version of love. It means teaching your child that safety and silence aren't the same thing. Standards without love are just leashes. Choose rooms where your effort isn't evidence against you. And if you needed to hear that today, maybe this is your sign to close the door too. If this gave you language for your own boundaries, tell me in the comments, what's one standard you're done mistaking for love? And if you know someone who needs this, share it with them today.